Hey, Miss Bowman, can I go to the bathroom? I gotta poop.
Uh, Miss Bowman. Miss Bowman. Miss Bowman.
Yes.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, what is your question?
I need to go to the bathroom. Can I go? Can I go to the bathroom? Can I go right now? It's an emergency. You already went to the bathroom once. You don't need to go again. It's an emergency. It's an emergency. I need to go. Please. Miss Bowman. Miss Bowman. Miss Bowman. Can I go to Miss Dash's room? I left my laptop. I left my laptop in Miss Dash's room. Can I go down there? I'll be fast. I'll be real fast. Can I go down there?
Miss Bowman, I gotta poop.
Why were you in the bathroom for 10 minutes? That is way too long.
Well, I don't like to poop in this bathroom. There's too many people in there. So I go down to the bathroom in the cafeteria. You know, I go all the way to the other side of the building and go downstairs. And I use that bathroom. To poop.
Hey y'all, it's Maggie. In case you're new here, I am a high school English teacher. Right now I teach 10th grade and 12th grade English. And I'm starting my brand new series, which is going to be a classroom management series. So I'll say overall, most of the questions that I get on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, have to do with how I manage my classroom. And unfortunately, I feel like classroom management is one of those things that everybody does it completely different, and they don't really do a good job of teaching you that in college. It's one of those things that you have to experience out in a real classroom. And I will also say it totally varies from class to class and by grade level. So I thought I would start today with just the number one thing that I think teachers think about when they think about classroom management, and that would be kids needing to leave your class. I know a lot of my friends that teach at the same school as me do bathroom passes. And here's what I will tell you about my journey in this sector of classroom management. When I first started, I did tickets. So kind of like hall passes or bathroom passes. And the kids got a certain amount. I don't remember how many it was. And once they were out of tickets, they were done. Like, they weren't allowed to go anymore. All the tickets were for the same thing. So whether you need to go to the office, or if you need to go to the bathroom, or if you need to run an errand, like, you use all 3 or 5 or however many there was, like, you're done. Here was the problem that came with that. First of all, it meant that every time someone asked me for something, I had to then say, do you have a ticket? And then their response would either be yes, and I would have to say, go get it, or no, and then there had to be this long conversation about why they weren't allowed to go because they had already used their tickets, or no, I don't have it because I didn't bring my notebook today, because we actually stapled their tickets like in their notebook so they couldn't lose them. Then I had some kids that wanted to like sell their tickets to other kids, which I just think is unbelievable. And so then I was like, well, I'll start tallying who's going to go. The point was, it was a lot for the kids to keep up with, and it was a lot for me to keep up with. And to me, it just caused a huge distraction, and I don't feel that it necessarily minimized the amount of people leaving my room. I've seen people do all kinds of things. You know, I've seen people punch something. I've seen people mark something. And here's my opinion. To be quite honest, I do not care if a kid has to go to the bathroom in class. I just don't. Like, if you have to go to the bathroom, go. If you need to get water, go. Now, if it's you running a frivolous errand or wandering around the hallway, that's different. So let's start with simply how I handle getting water or going to the bathroom. Because to me, they're the same trip. I don't have my students ask me. My students do not ask me if they can go. And I know you're like, well, then how do they go? Well, I have a mini whiteboard that's like about this big, and it's up on the wall with some command strips, and there's some markers beside it. So if a kid needs to go to the bathroom, and it is not during instructional time where I'm up there lecturing, or we're taking notes or something, then the kids don't ask me. And I've trained them on this. They get the marker, they write their name on the little whiteboard, they grab the hall pass, and the hall pass from my classroom is a plastic skull. So they grab the skull and they go to the bathroom and get water. When they come back, they put the skull back and they erase their name. And that's it. And the reason I like this is because, number one, they can kind of police themselves. So if a kid needs to go to the bathroom, they don't have to ask me. All they can do is look over there and see, is someone's name on the board, is the skull gone? If the answer is yes, then they know, no, they can't go yet, because I only let one person out of the room at a time. And that means as soon as that person comes back, they're able to go. So they can police themselves. The second reason that I like this is it causes absolutely no disruption to my class time. No one is raising their hand in the middle of me talking or teaching to ask to go to the bathroom. No one is having to get up and walk across the room and come find me while I'm trying to work with a small group and ask if they can go to the bathroom, because that's annoying. And then the third reason that I like it is if at any time I need to know who is out of the room and I can't remember, I'll look at the little whiteboard and their name is there. And it's easy for me to see. The other thing is, since the kids are policing themselves, they also pretty much handle it themselves. So, for instance, let's say a kid has been gone for like 5 to 8 minutes, which I would consider to be too long because I'm right beside the bathrooms, like around the corner from the bathrooms at my school. So if a kid was gone for that long, most of the time I don't even have to say anything to them because the next person in line will say something to them. Man, you were gone for really long. I needed to go. And they'll be like, oh, sorry, or whatever. Another thing I like is if there's a long line of people that need to go to the bathroom and they start doing this themselves, I never told them to start doing this, but they'll just make a list of names on the board. And then as the person comes back, they erase their name and then the next person goes. To me, it's just a great system. Like, it works for me and it works for my kids. So let's talk about what some of the cons are of this system and then how I go about like fixing them or handling them. So the first one is sometimes the kids will not write their name on the little whiteboard. Or they write something funny. So like I had one yesterday, he wrote me as his name for being out. So all I do with that is when they come back, I'll say, who is me? Or like, call the person over and say, listen, you've got to write your name up there, and I explain to them why. And most of the time, they fix it, and we don't have that problem anymore. The second problem that I sometimes have is the kid will not want to take the hall pass. And there's a couple reasons for this. The main reason that my kids say is because they say the hall pass is nasty. Now, I clean the hall pass once a week, and mine's plastic, so it's easy for me to sanitize it, unlike a clipboard or something that some of the other teachers use. Some of them just don't want to hold it. I don't know. And they're probably the kids that don't have a hall pass no matter what. So, again, if I notice they're not taking it, I will remind them, and I'll say, hey, if you get caught in the hallway and you don't have the skull or you don't have the hall pass, you're going to get in trouble, and it's not going to be my fault, it's going to be yours because you wouldn't take the hall pass. If either of these things continues to be a problem with like one specific child, then I start saying things like, if you can't write your name on the whiteboard and take the hall pass with you, then I'm going to take your bathroom privilege away. And most of the time, that will like nip it in the bud, and the kid won't do it anymore because they like being able to go to the bathroom. So then the other question that might come up is, what about kids that abuse this privilege? So my rule is only one person can be out of the room at a time for doing anything besides like, and this doesn't include like if the office asks me to send somebody down there, like I don't count that. Or some teacher calls and says, can you send me so-and-so? Like, I don't count that. I'm talking about like a kid that asks me if they can run an errand or go to the bathroom or whatever. So only one kid out of the room at a time. You only get to leave the room once a class period. So once. So if you need to go to the bathroom and you go, the first 30 minutes, you're done. Like, you're not going anywhere else the rest of class. And most of the time, this is not an issue. The only time that I will run into this issue is kids that already are abusing the system, or kids that say that they're having an emergency. So if you're wondering how I deal with emergencies, here is what I do. So I will tell the kids, if you are going to have an accident, which in high school I'm like, but like if you're going to have an accident, or if you're going to throw up, or you feel sick, or your nose is bleeding, or something like that, just get up and go. And if you don't come back, I will send someone to check on you. But like, you go, because like, we don't want you to throw up in here. We don't want you bleeding all over the place. Like, go take care of yourself. And then when you come back, you can say like, hey, I had to go throw up, or hey, my nose was bleeding, or whatever. This is going to sound bad, but I'm going to cover this because if you're a first year teacher that's going to teach high school or middle school, like this could become an issue. I always have girls who will say that they need to go because of girl problems. And what they're talking about is their period. And most of the time, this is what has happened. They went to the bathroom and then they've realized that their period has started, or they need to change something and they don't have it with them. So then they come back into the room and they get a tampon or a pad or whatever, sometimes from another student or, from their book bag. And then they need to go back to the bathroom. What I would say to this is, if you're a female teacher, then you can kind of police this as you see fit. If you are a male teacher and you don't feel comfortable like addressing this, then I would say you just take things as they come. So if you feel like you have a child who's abusing you with the bathroom because of girl problems, then I would just say maybe tell another female teacher and let that female teacher address it with them. My classes can handle this, and my students can handle this. If you have a class that is abusing the privilege, you have kids wanting to go multiple times and they're giving you all kinds of excuses, you have one certain student who is really pushing you on this, then I would say you change it however you need to. And I've told classes before, I've had some classes where the same child goes at the same time every class period and will try to go more than once. And I just either address it with the individual student and say, look, if you can't handle this, then I will take the privilege. Or if it's your whole class, then I address it in front of the whole class. You know. I have had classes where they could not handle the writing your name and taking the hall pass. And so we just went back to the traditional, you have to come ask me if you can go to the bathroom, and then I let you go or don't let you go. My favorite thing to do is, if you have a student that's wanting to go, and let's say for whatever reason you don't want them to go right now, okay, or you feel like they haven't done anything that day, then I just always say, you can go when you're done. Or depending on the work, you can go when you're halfway done. Or you can go when you finish the first 5 problems or whatever. This is the best technique because most of them forget. They forget that they need to go. And I know you're like, you're crazy. Try it and tell me that it doesn't work. Now, some kids, you know, they're gonna remember, but most of them forget. Most of them forget that they needed to go. Because there's been a couple times where I've been like, didn't you need to go to the bathroom? And they're like, oh, yeah, I don't need to go anymore. And I'm like, so you didn't really need to go in the first place. Now, I know that was mostly talking about bathroom and water and stuff. Here's kind of my policy on letting kids run errands. To me, it kind of depends on the class period. So, like, our school has a smart lunch. The kids are allowed in the building at 8 o'clock. Classes don't start till 8:15. And then the bell rings for the end of the day at 3:25, and teachers have to stay a little bit of time after that. So, most of the time when I will tell students is, you can't go right now. Go during lunch, or go before school, or go after school. Now, if you have a kid that you feel like they really need to go run the errand or it's something important, then sometimes what I'll try to say is the same thing I said before. So go when you finished your work, or go when you're halfway done, or go when you finish the first 5 problems, or we finish reading the chapter, or the last 5 minutes of class, or the first 5 minutes of class, because you're usually doing a bell ringer or winding up for the day. Most of the time, too, I'm concerned about them going into someone else's class and being annoying. And you know how that is. You had a kid come into your class and disrupt your whole class so they could ask some random question to you that they could have asked literally any time. So that's one thing that I do. Sometimes they'll say something like, I just need to ask them a question, then I will encourage them to send the teacher an email, or even use my phone to call the other teacher, because we have phones. So I just try to do some other strategies to keep them from leaving the room if possible. Now, sometimes you're going to have the inevitable, like, I left my glasses and blah, blah, blah. Or like, I left my phone and da-da-da, or my computer, like, can I go check, or whatever. And, I just kind of take those cases as they come. You will learn as you get more experienced in this, whether you feel like a kid is BSing you, or if they're serious, or if it's an actual emergency or not. So, to sum up, my overall policy in bathroom and letting kids leave the room during class is, for the most part, I let them go. I just use my own intelligence and the relationships that I have with them and the stipulations and rules that I put in place to make sure that it doesn't get out of hand. And it does not take long to implement this process. There's nothing that you have to keep up with. There's nothing that you have to, tally or collect or buy. You just have to have a hall pass, and you have to have a place that they can write their names. So you don't even have to have a separate whiteboard. They can put it on your regular whiteboard. I mean, you can have a piece of chart paper up. The possibilities are endless. That was video 1 of my new classroom management series. So here's what I need from you. I need you to give me your classroom management questions, because I want to try to cover the gamut of things. So if you're a first year teacher, or if you're a teacher that's still in college, or if you've just moved to a new school and you want to do some refreshing or anything, you could watch the videos or the series, or just the video that's pertinent to you, and maybe get some new ideas. But I need some ideas and some questions from you. So that's where I picked this one from, was from comments and messages that I've gotten. So shoot me some more ideas of things that you want to know how I do in my classroom. So thanks for watching. How do you deal with bathroom in your classroom? Tell me down in the comments how you deal with it. Do you do passes? Do you do something like I do? Do you do something totally different? Let me know, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of the rest of this series. And I'll catch you soon. Bye.